get back to work, and we'll shorten this and sweeten it, and there's no way to sweeten it. We'll just shorten it and straighten it out. When the Book of Revelation is based on actual events of an actual person's life, and it was studied by major corporations, and it's still being it was studied, was completely validated, and now it's being completely ignored because it does not align with genocidal agendas that corporations are still engaged in, thinking that the faith of the Book of Revelation is debatable, which it's not. Okay, you cannot debate the origin of everything. Once you understand there is an origin of everything, and when you understand natural laws for us to live and be alive and stay alive, okay, you do not sit and debate natural laws, and that's not subject for. You can't sit there and break into groups and have a contest and say that money's real, and then have competition over the money and do superficial, frivolous, irrational things that go in contrast to the natural laws provided for the origin of everything for us to live. That's not, you cannot do that. So I assure you, the Book of Revelation is very real, based on the life. Okay. Book of Revelation is based on the life's events and the evidence of eternal faith and the origin of everything of one human being. Okay, one solitary human being. Okay, that human being is myself. I was born July 19th, 1966, in Las Cruces, New Mexico, the place discussed in the Book of Revelation, to a man named Raphael, in Catholic tradition, the first archangel of the apocalypse, and Mary, and my mother Mary, discussed in the Holy Quran in the Surah of Mary. Okay, and so it's Mary, and outside the valley of shadow of death, where the devil and Satan would build mechanization and devices to try to replace omnipotence and omnipotence, okay, with a virtual presence of manipulation to manipulate people into believing and thinking that God would perform daily miracles in their lives through manipulation, through technology, and that the life-saving events that would happen with that manipulation of technology almost always involved monetary-based issues. And so when you're watching these things, like you're watching that Little Librarians or whatever on TV, and you're watching these insane stories about people allegedly saving every soul on the planet, saving the world from catastrophe because of irrational thoughts, words, and actions through selfish behaviors that deny faith in the origin of everything and go in contrast to the natural laws provided by the origin of everything for us to continue to faithfully love one another on planet Earth, honoring our covenants to one another to live loving, faithful lives with a humble understanding of the natural laws provided by the origin of everything, which in my culture and my language and the religion from my culture and my language, the origin of everything is the word God. Okay. And I'm an English, my name's Ralph Earl Parsons Jr., so I'm an English speaker. Okay. In Espanol, it's Dio. Okay. In North African, it's Jah. In Arab, Middle Eastern, it's Allah. Okay. And Chiricahua, in Apache, more than Chiricahua, where there's more than one group of the people they call Apaches. There's a tribe of people. One called they're referred to by scientists as Athabascans. The Usan means God. Okay, and so Muhammad said in the Quran, there are many people, many tribes, and many religions to prove to and show human beings that human beings cannot replace the origin of everything with their egos, and God is great, and the power and the glory. And human beings can only have faith in the greatness and the power of the glory, not replace the greatness of the power and glory with their perception and their egos. Okay, so we all have different terms of endearment and names for the origin of everything, but it's based off faith and the same essence, the same origin of everything, right? So you guys got to understand this, okay? And that's what Earl's life, me, that's what my family calls me, life validates. And when people tried to get him to deviate from, like in the book of Job and Jonah and other books, the origin of everything, faith and origin of everything is not debatable. Like with Jesus Christ, and I was talking about it with my dad, when the Romans, a man named Herod and a man named Caiaphas, which were Jesus's and John's relatives, cousins, used Roman rules of engagement for killing people. Okay. They stepped up and used execution laws from ancient traditions and rules that John confessed publicly about his relationship with Herod's wife, that should have not gotten John beheaded or murdered, because Herod himself had concubines and so forth, and had broken way more traditions that we perceive as traditions to try to honor natural laws than John had ever done in his life. But it made Herod and his wife look hypocritical, so they had him beheaded. And Jesus was very upset, and that's why Jesus went through Solomon's temple, and then people told me that and studied the Bible and said Jesus said he made a mistake when he did that. So no, he didn't say he made a mistake. He said he knew that doing this would most likely cause his cousins and set up the conditions for his cousins Herod and Caiaphas to have the Romans publicly try him and kill him. That was what kicked everything over the edge because they weren't going to, the Romans most likely probably were not going to crucify him. They didn't see him as a threat. They thought what he taught would not be tolerated or allowed, and they could speak it and talk it, but it would never happen. So they were just pissing against the wind. And he was relatively harmless because it wasn't a violent revolution. Okay? They did not talk about overthrowing the government violently and killing Caesar. They said they could talk Caesar into accepting Jehovah as God and not himself, and then he would naturally submit to faith in the origin of everything and convert to their religion because it was right and Caesar's was wrong. So it wasn't revolutionary. It wasn't, So when those people got together with co-conspirators to crucify Jesus Christ and murder John the Baptist, they thought that they could eliminate any true belief or faith in the origin of everything and replace it with human delusions of grandeur and power and manipulation. And it worked for 2,025 years. Or I shouldn't say worked. It trapped us. It just tried to destroy us for 2,025 years. And now it's got to come to an end. And this isn't up for debate. And artificial intelligence, okay, because of the defects of the limitations of humans' brains, it's taken a long time since I started posting online in June 2009 out of Sierra Vista, Arizona, and then fulfilled all the timetables required of me by all religious corporations to prove the gospel's valid and not waver against my faith by January 22nd, 2013. And instead of stand up for the Lord's Prayer, they chose to use linguistics programs with our documentation for government to engage in genocidal operations through linguistic warfare, because that's what she uses commands for artificial intelligence. Okay, you guys understand? Okay, I'm gonna load this one up. This one should help with people that understand AI better, so they can help try to save people from being exterminated by their AI. Okay. Well, because I'm that type of person, and I want to live the Lord's Prayer tomorrow morning. All right, peace.